Hi, it's Florian, and in this video I'm going to answer the question when the Scrum introduction is finished. If you are someone introducing Scrum, or if Scrum is introduced over, you maybe wonder when all of this stops. When is everyone aligned with Scrum? When will Scrum be the method forever to run projects? And you should be aware of how long that takes. And I'm going to answer that now with the help of game theory. So what does game theory tell us about Scrum? Where can we use it? And what game theory actually tells us about Scrum is something we can learn from finite and infinite games. So a finite game is a game that has a defined end. That's why it's finite. It has defined players and defined rules. So tennis, for example, is a finite game, or chess is a finite game. But Scrum is not a finite game. Scrum is more an infinite game. So an infinite game has an unknown amount of players, and all the players are also, or many players might be unknown. It has no end. That's why it's infinite. And the goal is to keep playing. So the goal is not to win. You cannot win an infinite game. And Scrum is an infinite game because it answers the question how to run projects of a specific size in a company. And this question can be answered by a lot of other methodologies apart from Scrum. So Scrum can only survive if it shows self-sufficient strength, and as long as it does so. So you cannot be done with implementing Scrum. It will never be finished. You will have to do a continuous improvement. You will have to show continuously that you have self-sufficient strength in your Scrum process. If you don't, something else will come along and it will replace Scrum. That is what is going to happen, because management will not accept the process dealing with projects from 5 to 10 people that is not working. So you must be aware, if you introduce Scrum, that the most important thing you have to do is show self-sufficient strengths by, for example, showing good results, by showing that it is controllable when things are finished, by showing that the things that don't work are not part of the Scrum process, but of other company processes. So it's the benefit of Scrum making them transparent. So you should be really aware of where the strengths of the Scrum process lie in your company, and you should never compromise it. And usually introducing Scrum is quite easy if you think about who is your opponent in this infinite game, who plays with you. So what processes are already in place in your company, and it's usually nothing that needs to worry you. So there's no opponent, there is no alternative to Scrum usually when you introduce it. Only something that doesn't work, that doesn't show self-sufficient strengths, and you should leverage from that. So when you introduce Scrum, no matter how hard it is, be prepared. It will take forever. It will be easier, but it will never stop. You will always need to improve. You will always need to show the results, and you will always face the threat of being replaced by something else. That is never off the table. And that is why it's an infinite game, and it is really important to know that when you introduce Scrum, because you can actually leverage that information, and you can also basically defeat your opponent or kick your component out of the game. That might be an old waterfall process, that might be something else, by just showing that there is no self-sufficient strength in the other process. So that is really important. It's also important to tell your team that there is actually no alternative that is better than Scrum. And if you introduce it, be prepared to do that. Be prepared to be really strong, really forthcoming, and show management. And you can see in my other videos what management really likes in Scrum reporting. Show them that you are really strong in Scrum. That's it. I hope it helped. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, and see you.